Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paripajacharya Astotarashata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. Reading from the 10th canto, 75th chapter, verses 22, 23, and 24. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nastapreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurundinatarinam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Romapada Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine. Please repeat. Ata Raja Hate Shaume Paridhaya Swalankritaha Ritviksarasya Vipradin Anachabaranam Barahi Ataraja Hate Shaume Paridhaya Swalankritaha Ritviksadasya Vipradin Anarchabaranam Barahi Ataraja Hate Shaume Paridhaya Swalankritaha Ritviksadasya Vipradin Anarchabaranam Barahi. Please chant. Ritviksadasya Vipradin Ata. Next. Raja, the king. Ahate, unused. Shaume, a pair of silken garments. Paridhaya, putting on. Su alankritaha, nicely ornamented. Ritvik, the priests. Sadasya, the officiating members of the assembly. Vipra, the brahmanas. Adin, and other members. Anarcha, he worshipped. Abharana, with ornaments. Ambarahi, and clothing. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Next, the king put on new silken garments and adorned himself with fine jewelry. He then honored the priests, assembled officials, learned Brahmins, and other guests by presenting them with ornaments and clothing. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, the king not only dressed himself and decorated himself, But he also gave clothing and ornaments to all priests and to the others who had participated in the yajnas. In this way he worshipped them all. Text 23 translation. In various ways, King Yudhishthira, who had totally dedicated his life to Lord Narayan, continuously honored his relatives, his immediate family, the other kings, his friends and well-wishers, and all others present as well. Text 24 translation. All the men there shone like demigods. They were adorned with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, waistcoats, silk dhotis, and valuable pearl necklaces. The lovely faces of the women were beautified by their matched earrings and locks of hair, and they all wore golden belts. All three verses together. Next, the king put on new silken garments and adorned himself with fine jewelry. He then honored the priests, assembled officials, learned Brahmins, and other guests by presenting them with ornaments and clothing. In various ways, King Yudhishthira, who had totally dedicated his life to Lord Narayan, continuously honored his relatives, his immediate family, the other kings, his friends and well-wishers, and all other present as well. All the men there shone like demigods. They were adorned with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, waistcoats, silk dhotis, and valuable pearl necklaces. The lovely faces of the women were beautified by their matched earrings and locks of hair, and they all wore golden belts. So, the purport of the 22nd verse is quoting Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book, saying, the king not only dressed himself and decorated himself, but he also gave clothing and ornaments to all the priests and to the others who had participated in the yajnas. In this way he worshipped them all. It's actually customary that after a yajna, the priests are honored and given gifts by those who have commissioned the priests for the yajna. So in the example of a deity installation, those priests who perform all the ceremonies to install the deities are usually, at the end of all the ceremonies, given gifts, and they're honored and appreciated for the service that they've done. This goes on for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that every time a sacrifice is performed, the performer of the sacrifice actually is receiving benediction for performing the sacrifice. But by giving gifts to the priests and honoring the priests, the benefit of the performance is transferred to those who hosted or facilitated that sacrifice. So, going back to the example of deity installation, if those people who are worshiping the deity do that nicely, but they haven't properly honored the priests who installed the deity, then the benefits of that worship aren't particularly given to the worshippers of the deity, but instead to the installing priests. And the opposite is true, that if the caretakers of the deity are neglectful, then the bad reactions are suffered by the priests who perform the installation. But by the process of properly honoring the priests, giving gifts like this, then the side effects of the deity worship, good or bad, and the stewardship of the deity itself is passed on to the people who arranged for the installation of the deity. It's also the proper thing to do. If someone performs a service for you, then they should be properly honored for that service. And the very least we can understand it is returning the favor. So if you have a plumber come into your home and fix your leaky pipes, the proper way to honor the plumber is to pay them the amount of money that they requested to do the service. It's not that you have to sit them down, oh, thank you for fixing my pipes, and put a flower garland on them. You know, pay them and then they can go on about their day. In the present day and age, deity worship and fire sacrifices aren't such an important thing. On a practical level, the paraphernalia used for fire sacrifices, the paraphernalia used for worshiping the deity is all contaminated in one way or another. And there's very, very few people that possess Brahminical qualities and possess the purity to perform these tasks. So with all of these challenges, proper fire sacrifices and proper deity worship are practically impossible. There's some rare instances, but we have to remember Kali Yuga, and for the most part, everything is contaminated in some way or another. Everyone is contaminated in some way or another. But we also have to remember that these things aren't the Yuga Dharma. So if we're pulling our hair out, trying to figure out how to, properly do a fire sacrifice that's, completely pure and uncontaminated, that's not necessarily, it's not the Yuga Dharma, so it's not as important. Previously, the Yuga Dharma required some real qualification. Not that anybody could perform the Yuga Dharma in the 3 preceding ages. But we're actually very fortunate in this age that there's no bar for entry to this Yuga Dharma. There's no limit in which one can participate. One can fully participate in the Yuga Dharma regardless of birth or caste, qualities, etc. Things have been made so easily accessible for us, and even more so in the last 60 years or so, with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. He's made the Yuga Dharma accessible to practically everybody, regardless of place of birth or language spoken. He's really, he's done the heavy lifting for us. He's given us the literatures that assist in our performing of the Yuga Dharma, and so many supplementary literatures as well, starting with the English language, and now it's spread. Actually, I have a chart that's quite incredible to look at. There's so many languages, over 100 languages now that the BBT's translated Srila Prabhupada's main books into. And there's a lot of languages that have 90% or more of Srila Prabhupada's catalog translated into their language. It's a very encouraging thing to look at, to see, just how many books are available in so many different languages for so many different people across the world. So not only has Prabhupada spread these books, he has spread and popularized the chanting of the holy name, which is, as we all know, the Yuga Dharma. And he's established so many centers around the world. So many centers have been established in his name, to his credit, where people can go and participate in the chanting and dancing and feasting. And people can go out from those centers and engage people in chanting. And in the same way, Srila Prabhupada has empowered his disciples to carry on with the Sankirtan movement. He's done so much for us. He's made so much sacrifice just for our benefit. And he didn't take any of the credit or praise for himself either, but instead offered it always to his own Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Srila Bhakti Vinod both also did so much work to make this Sankirtan movement accessible around the world. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur reawakened the Gaudiya Sampradaya. He wrote so many books, poems, songs, and conveyed so much information to be passed down from generation to generation. He started what we could consider a Renaissance period for this Gaudiya Sampradaya that we still find ourselves in today, and it's still flourishing more than 110 years after his disappearance. And just as Srila Bhakti Vinod started a renaissance within this Gaudiya line, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur revolutionized the daily life and so many other aspects of the parampara. For example, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote a book about Apasampradayas, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati showed us how to deal with the Apasampradayas by his own example. He revolutionized the Varnashram system. Since the time of the 6 Goswamis, there hadn't been practically no sannyasis in this disciplic succession. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati reinstituted sannyas for us and updated the style of dress for both sannyasis and brahmacharis. And he also taught us the true definition of yukta vairagya, how to use anything in Krishna's service. And following in their footsteps, Srila Prabhupada took the chanting of the Mahamantra all around the world and made it accessible for everyone. And Srila Prabhupada's disciples have continued in that mission of doing the Sankirtan Yajna. Now, time in its nature has continued to progress, and we're finding younger and younger generations in the Hare Krishna movement. And the custom is that from the pastimes that we're reading, we have a similar custom today. The predecessors have done so much for the Sankirtan Yagya, and they've done so much to make Krishna accessible to all of us. But our process isn't that they do all of the work and we sit back and take all of the reward, all of the benefit. At some point, it's the duty of the next generation to step up and both continue the work and to give the respect and praise to the previous generation. So in this chapter, the priests are honored after the performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice. And in the same way, we have to honor our predecessors, our disciplic predecessors. This doesn't mean necessarily that we give them, some nice silk cloth and some pearl necklaces and things like that. There's actually a prescription for how we honor them. In ISKCON, the bulk of the honor to be given is going to Srila Prabhupada, which is quite natural since he's our founder Acharya. So the proper method that we've been given to honor him in this updated traditional way is given by Srila Prabhupada. And so many times he tells us exactly how we do this. So Srila Prabhupada in his own words. Actually, it's a fact that everyone should preach and distribute books if they want to please me in the best way. Book distribution must be given stress. If you do this sincerely, it is a fact that Krishna will supply everything else required. I blindly follow my Guru Maharaj. I do not know what is the result, so I am stressing on this point of book distribution. He told me this personally. Book distribution is Bhagavat Marg, and temple worship is Pancharatriki Vidhi. Both are important for cultivating Vaishnavism, but comparatively speaking, Bhagavat Marg is more important than Pancharatriki Vidhi. As far as possible, both should go on in parallel lines, but still Bhagavat Marg is more important than the other. So you are all intelligent boys, so you should judge the desire of my Guru Maharaj and help me in this way. Another time, Srila Prabhupada writes, your report of book distribution is very encouraging. Please go on increasing more and more. Yes, you should become the topmost temple for book distribution. This is a very good proposal. That is the only way to please me. Distribute my books profusely. That is real preaching. So the idea that I'm trying to convey here is that we're reading about priests, Brahmins, other people being honored, being worshipped after the performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice. So in the same way, we should be honoring Srila Prabhupada by distributing his books. He's made such a great sacrifice for our sake, and this is one of his biggest requests. And in doing so, not only does Srila Prabhupada become pleased when we distribute his books, but Krishna also becomes very pleased. It's not that we're practicing a modern adaptation of this custom spoken about in the chapter, but we're participating in the Yuga Dharma while doing so. And we're pleasing Krishna, we're pleasing Mahaprabhu by doing so as well. Srila Prabhupada in one letter quotes the Bhagavad Gita, Yeya tammam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami aham, that Krishna becomes more and more pleased by seeing the increment of book distribution. Devotional service is absolute, but one who preaches his message becomes very dear to Lord Krishna. He also says, deity worship is especially meant for purifying the neophyte devotees. Actually, however, preaching is more important. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Nacha tasman maneshu kaschin me priya kritama. If one wants to be recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must preach the glories of the Lord. One who worships the deity must therefore be extremely respectful to preachers. Otherwise, simply worshipping the deity will keep one in the lower stage of devotion. And to quote once more, I especially want that my book distribution and I especially want that my books and literatures should be distributed profusely. But so far I understand this is not being done very perfectly. So I want that you, all my students, shall very vigorously try for this book distribution. Do not hesitate to use your American and European brains to increase. That is Krishna's gift to you. Now use it. Any activity which will please Krishna should be accepted favorably. This is our guiding principle. Now apply it in this way. By doing everything and anything for spreading Krishna conscious literature, and this is really pleasing to Krishna. Know it for certain. So Prabhupada's telling us that book distribution is our best form of preaching. These days there's lots of other methods of preaching that have become somewhat fashionable. But Srila Prabhupada is very plainly and specifically requested us to distribute his books. So we have this, in this connection, we have a really incredible opportunity coming up on Sunday. The Rath Yatra will be taking place at a really nice place to introduce so many new people to Krishna and to introduce so many new people to Srila Prabhupada. We have truly a golden opportunity to introduce so many people to this. I've been noticing Hare Krishna used to be a household name. And I'm noticing more and more when I tell people I'm a Hare Krishna, they don't say, oh, I know that. They say, what is that? So we've started to fade in name recognition. Those of you who understand marketing know the power of name recognition. You know, so many places they don't say soda or soft drink or pop, they call it Coca-Cola. What do you have to drink? I'll have a Coke. What kind of Coke? I'll have orange Coke. So this name recognition is a really powerful tool for marketing. And at the end of the day, the mission of the Sankirtan movement is marketing for Krishna's name. We're trying to make sure that everybody hears Krishna's name, knows Krishna's name, chants Krishna's name. This is a marketing effort. So when I'm out distributing books and people don't know what is Hare Krishna, they've never heard this before, it's interesting to me because I'm so used to, it's the younger people, the college-aged people and younger who have never heard this word before. And then I kind of panic a little bit because I've come to rely on being able to tell people I'm a Hare Krishna and they just automatically know what that means. So now I have to figure out some other thing to tell these young people on the fly. So we'll have this opportunity this weekend to introduce so many people who don't know what is Hare Krishna, who don't know who is Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has said that preaching means results. And one very easy metric of result that we can find is the amount of books that get distributed. And in that same connection, Prabhupada's given a very nice, simple definition of Rath Yatra. He said that Rath Yatra is the meditation on bringing Krishna back into our hearts. Krishna resides within the heart of all living beings, but we have forgotten him. This is actually our whole mission as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to bring our attention, to bring our consciousness back to Krishna. One of the best ways we can remember Krishna for ourselves is by telling people about Krishna. And we can make so much advancement by trying to tell others about Krishna. We can greatly improve our own meditation on Krishna by encouraging others to meditate on Krishna, and by as a method of doing that, by distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, by sharing the mercy of Srila Prabhupada via his books. We're actually getting Srila Prabhupada's mercy for ourselves, and that mercy is aiding us in our remembrance of Krishna. So I don't mean to sit here and pontificate about how I don't mean to sit here and pontificate hollowly about how everybody has to distribute books. I'm doing, as much as I can, and we all have to work within our own capacity, according to our characteristics and attributes. For my part, I have this book table in the lobby that I've been trying to curate. I've been more recently trying to go out at least once a week and set up my little book table. And this is not always an easy thing. Some of the most beneficial things we can do sometimes are the most taxing to ourselves. But as the saying goes, you gotta risk it to get the biscuit. I've noticed, though, just by small efforts, it doesn't take very much, but small efforts do produce results, and they produce very big results. So I've been doing what I can, but now I'm asking for a little bit of help. Sure, everyone's already up to their eyeballs in services for Rath Yatra, so I'm not asking you abandon those. Just asking, anybody who's willing to take a little bit of time this weekend to try to distribute 1 or 2 books for Srila Prabhupada. We have currently, and I'm hoping to have more by Sunday, 300 unchanting Hare Krishna pamphlets that are sponsored to be given away freely. So, if you can grab a handful of pamphlets and distribute those during the procession, or if you can talk to one or two people and try to get them to take a Bhagavad Gita, or if you can, direct somebody to go and check out the book tent. Any small amount of effort towards this book distribution would be not only appreciated by myself, but appreciated by Srila Prabhupada, and you'll certainly get some mercy for that. So, hopefully, before I went to outright begging, hopefully I made some nice connection here. That this isn't anything terribly new. To try to worship people who are worshipable in a particular way. That's exactly how Srila Prabhupada's writing in the Krishna book. He says in this way he worshipped them all. So Prabhupada is certainly a worshipable personality. So this is just my simple suggestion that we can, practical application of the Srimad Bhagavatam is that we can worship Srila Prabhupada by distributing his books. With that, if we have any comments.
So you had seeked into the emphasis for, I guess, worshippers of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna through quoting Srila Prabhupada saying that the Pancharatrika system in some sense is secondary to the distribution of books. So, and of course you described or put emphasis on the particular opportunity that is available there to an entire community through something like a Rath Yatra festival. By that emphasis, one could say that particular temple, which is, what could one say? It's the place of organization for both deity worship and for book distribution, that it actually calls for the temple or the management of the temple to put a particular emphasis, whether it should be on deity worship or book distribution or both, or how manpower is organized. So one may call for or draw attention to the necessity for outreach or book distribution, but there is clearly an emphasis that's put in a particular direction or both according to the managerial structure within the organization. So I'm just drawing attention to that.
Naturally, there will be an emphasis on one particular thing or another placed by management. But we can also, have a personal emphasis on one particular practice or something. It's not a all or one thing, because one could actually argue. This quote is given, this example is given of Bhagavat Vidhi and Panchatriki Vidhi. And Prabhupada calls them the two tracks that our movement runs on. So the emphasis has to be there for both. It's hard for a train to run on just one track. But one could make the argument that book distribution is not just Bhagavat Vidhi, but it's also Panchatriki Vidhi. If we are to accept, for example, the Srimad Bhagavatam as a deity, as Krishna himself, and we're to accept the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam as the worship of that deity, might be a little bit of a stretch under some level of analysis, but one could call that also deity worship. There's a lot of different angles to consider things. For myself, I'm kind of, I'm standing wherever I'm standing at, so I see things the way I see things, and speak from my own point of view. My point of view is, the more people that we bring to the temple, and more people that we make Krishna conscious, the more gorgeously the deity worship can go on. And the more people we bring, the more books that they can distribute, the more people they can bring, and again, the more gorgeously the deity worship can go on. So I don't think it's a mutually exclusive thing necessarily. I think that they can be beneficial to each other in one way or another. But, naturally my position as a brahmachari and as one who likes to identify themselves as a book distributor, whatever opportunity I get to, I'm going to shill for book distribution. If I'm not, trying to distribute the books directly, I'm trying to encourage others to distribute the books. That's just it's my MO. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.